So I subscribe to a lot of magazines, as you all know. And when I do, after I finish reading them, every 2 weeks when I'm off on the weekend and my work mom works that day, I usually drive them over to her house. Well, she lives in an apartment building. Drive them over to her apartment building. She gets the magazines, reads them, takes whatever article she wants to out of the magazines or recipes, and then she puts them in her community room. I got some sad notices from a couple of my magazines. They won't be made anymore. And I think that this whole world has gone too digital for its own good. I honestly wish that we could go back before the computer, before the internet, and appreciate what we had. And it's so sad that these kids of today won't know. From if we look at it at a music level, they wouldn't know who Roy Acuff was if they hit him with his yo-yo. And that's a quote off of the Country's Family Reunion from late Gene Shepard. And that is sad. From a book standpoint, I hate that the kids are getting away from going to the library and having to use in fact, I don't even think they have to anymore, use the card catalog. I mean, before there was Google, we had to be our own Google, and it's just a shame that magazines now, it's either digital, but the days of getting them in the mail are slowly coming to an end. So it's sad, but it's true. We're going to cover a couple of articles in the Reminisce magazine. I'm going to try and do this before midnight so I can take my 2 Benadryl and knock myself out because I have to get up for work early in the morning. So let's read the cover here. Winter Playtime, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Tinsel Tree, Reminisce, Stories That Shape Our Lives, Holiday Memories, Songs and Sleighs, and Santa. This is the one for January 2023. I picked out Alvin and the Chipmunks because it was on the front and center, which they debuted in 1958. Ross Bulgarian's ticket to success came with a little novelty song that jumped to #1 in the charts in 1958. He called it the Chipmunk Song. Christmas don't be late. And it would go on to earn 3 awards at the inaugural Grammys and sell 25 million records in those first years. Bulgarian became the voice of Dave Seville, the band manager, with the friendly, "Okay, fellas, get ready," and exasperated calls of "Alvin" and all of his singing chipmunks. A sound investment. An actor, musician, Bulgarian credits include playing the songwriter in Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, used most of his last $200 to buy a tape recorder for a musical experiment. Chipmunk vocals. The Witch Doctor, his first novelty hit, featured bits of the high-speed vocals. Bulgarian wanted to play with the speed-up vocals and give the music, quote-unquote, more personality, said his son, Ross Jr. Bulgarian, named his singing chipmunks for people at Liberty Records, which released the first albums. Company president Alvin Bennett, vice president producer Cy Warnocker, and recording engineer Ted Keep. By the way, this article is by Amy Rabu Silvers, page 14, Reminisce.com, January 2023. Shows a picture here of Bulgarian with Simon, Alvin, and Theodore. There's a little Alvin in all of us, is the quote. He built the Chipmunk Empire. Early on, he appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show with 3 chipmunk hand puppets. Then came animated movies, TV shows, specials, and lots more records. Later, he brought in his singers to play the chipmunks. The Beatles were fans. They were just amazed that he was able to do the voices of Alvin and Dave and Simon and Theodore, and then music, and kept bouncing tracks back and forth, Ross Jr. said. The Beatles apparently were so impressed that they gave Bulgarian the authorization to do the Chipmunks Sing the Beatle hits. Making a comeback. After his father's death in 1972, Ross Jr. relaunched the family business. His Chipmunk Punk album released in 1980, and it was a hit. The Chipmunks were back. I thought this was an interesting article. Back in time here, lasting impressions. It says, revelers fill. This was New York City, Times Square on New Year's Eve, 1937. Wow. Put your money out. Hot tip sparks a New Year's tradition. By Shannon Schultz from Glen Burnie, Maryland. My grandfather, Charlie, worked for the New York Department of Sanitation in 1930 and 40s. He lived in the Park Slope neighborhood in Brooklyn, but his daily route took him into the Bedford, Sturtevant, and Flatbush neighborhoods where he knew the customers by name. Sometimes one of his customers would wave him over to give him something too nice to refuse, such as a new dress for one of his daughters or a new coat for his son. One day, a customer was struggling to drag a heavy trash can to the curb. Grandpa jumped off that truck, took the can from him, and dumped the contents of the truck trash receptacle. The man thanked Grandpa and said, "My friend, I have a good tip for you." Well, it was widely known that Grandpa liked the horses and planned to visit an Aqueduct racetrack in Queens over the holiday. But the tip was not about the horse track. Instead, it was the man said, "Charlie, on New Year's Eve, make sure you, before midnight, take some cash and put it outside your bedroom window. And then in the morning on New Year's Day, go get your money, bring it back in the house. If you put your money outside in the old year and bring it back inside in the new year, you'll have money coming in all year." Every New Year's thereafter, without fail, Grandpa had everyone in the family to do this, and they kept money coming into the household, and his children grew up and moved away. He continued the custom, calling each family member on New Year's Eve to remind them. After Grandpa passed on, the tradition remained part of his legacy, now 5 generations strong, and now I'm the person who calls everyone on New Year's Eve to tell them, put your money out. And the article is by Sharon Schultz from Glen Burnie, Maryland, page 62. And that's all I'm going to share with you, and I hope that you pick up this magazine, and please let them know that, print is very important, and that they're making a mistake by not printing this magazine. You will be missed, Reminisce. You will be missed.